like the more you research food or things that are good for us, it always comes back to the natural organic state.
That's right, yes. So eating whole foods, so as many foods as you can in their unprocessed and unrefined state, then that's much better for us. That helps feed our gut bacteria. It means that we eat a lot more fiber. And, they found that so many people are low in fiber these days, and fiber is really important for our gut health. It means it makes everything move through the system more quickly, so it absorbs toxins, so toxins would go through our systems much more quickly and aren't just left there. Eating fiber is a good way to get rid of the toxins that can be in food or in the environment.
I always get confused what fiber is, and I realize it's in vegetables. And the best way for me to remember it is a piece of celery, how it has those strands that are on it, and that's the fiber, right?
Yes. So fiber is found in plant foods, and so if you eat a diet that's high in fruit and vegetables, then you will be getting your fiber. If you think about like the peels of the carrot and the peel of an apple, as you say, the fibrous parts of celery, or in your broccoli stalks or asparagus stalks. So these are really high in fiber, and these are what our gut bacteria or our good gut bacteria thrive on. So by eating lots of those types of foods, you're encouraging your healthy gut bacteria. Whereas when you're eating very refined processed foods and sugary foods and trans fats, you're actually promoting your bad bacteria.
And the bad bacteria causes problems.
Yes, that's right. So when your gut bacteria get out of balance, so that's called dysbiosis, and that can cause lots of problems. It can cause gut inflammation, which can cause neural inflammation, so that can affect your mental health, but it can also cause problems to do with your immune health. So there's been a lot of research on the influence of our gut health on our overall health, and it affects so many different aspects of our health. For example, it can affect our hormones, it can affect our immune system, it affects our skin, it affects how well we digest our foods. And our gut health is so important because, if you think that all the nutrients that our bodies need, it does come from how well we process our food. So if we're not digesting our food well, then we're not going to be getting the nutrients from the foods that we eat, even if we're eating healthily. So making sure our gut bacteria are in good balance will make sure that we're digesting our food well and we're getting the nutrients that our bodies need.
So really, to get our gut healthy, we have to basically eat vegetables and fruits and really low meat intake, would you say?
Definitely eating lots of plant foods will help keep our gut healthy by making sure that we have lots of fiber and that we're processing our food well and that we're keeping our gut bacteria healthy. I wouldn't necessarily say that we have to cut out meat, because meat does contain a lot of nutrients, and especially in a more bioavailable form for our bodies. So a form that's easier for our bodies to absorb and utilize. But definitely too much saturated fats, which if we eat too much meat, we can be getting too much saturated fat. That would definitely encourage bad bacteria. Too much trans fats, that would encourage bad bacteria and also increase the risks of several diseases. And too much sugar and refined foods, that also feeding our bad gut bacteria. So that kind of takes me on to the third way that the foods that we eat affect our body and our brain. When we eat too much sugar, it actually can deplete some of our nutrients. So, for example, our magnesium levels and chromium levels are also very important for our moods. So magnesium is found in foods like leafy greens and generally in foods that contain lots of fiber, so fruit and vegetables. And deficiencies in magnesium can cause anxiety and irritability and low serotonin. And they've also, research has also shown that, supplements in this can help with stress and depression and can help to stabilize moods. So if we're eating too much sugar, we're also depleting our body stores of magnesium.
Yes, magnesium is also a big helper of serotonin.
Yes, so if you have a deficiency in magnesium, that can lead to low serotonin levels. And another nutrient that sugar depletes is chromium. So chromium is found in herbs and spices and also fruit and vegetables. So for example, broccoli, green beans, tomatoes, apples, pears, bananas, also in meat and whole grains as well. So but the trouble is that having a lot of sugar in the diet will actually deplete your body's levels of chromium. And chromium is important because it also helps us to control our sugar cravings. It also improves insulin sensitivity, and so it also helps with our blood sugar control. So it's important that we have enough chromium.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So was this your third thing about mood?
Yeah.
Did you want to bring up anything else? Said last time, on the original podcast.
The other reasons it's important to have a good balance of omega-3 to omega-6 is that omega-6 also promotes blood clotting, which of course is important for wound healing. But of course, if we have too much omega-6s, then it actually can increase our risk of heart disease and stroke, because omega-3s are actually blood thinning, so it helps to balance that out. And then the other thing that omega-6s promote is cell proliferation, which is cell division and multiplication, which is important for growth and repair. But of course, when you think about diseases like cancer, where abnormal cells start growing and multiplying out of control, then it's important to have your omega-3s, which helps to balance out this process. So our ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 is really very important, not just for inflammation, but also to balance out the blood clotting and the cell proliferation.
It's really eye-opening to hear exactly why omega-3 is good for you. Besides just your heart, it also helps stop cancer from growing. Or it can.
Yes, because it's quite far out to say that, yes, omega-3s will reduce your risk of cancer. So, but if you think about omega-6s, they're promoting your cell division and cell multiplication, and then your omega-3s are actually keeping this in check and balancing this out, then it makes sense that way.
It makes a lot of sense. Any of this affect COVID in terms of the gut health?
Well, the foods that we eat have a big influence on our overall health and our immunity to disease. So if we're making sure that we get all the right nutrients in the right proportion, so having a balanced diet with a large variety of different foods, then that's going to help our bodies to function at its optimal condition, and it will help our bodies to fight disease, or if we catch a disease, to help recover more quickly. So in terms of having a balanced diet, it's important to have all the right food groups in the right proportions. So that would be 50% carbohydrates and around 20% proteins and 30% fats. And when I'm talking about carbohydrates, I'm not just talking about the starches and sugars, but also vegetables and fruits, which are carbohydrates and fiber.
Beans are carbohydrates, and potatoes.
Yeah. So potatoes are very starchy, so they are so they are carbohydrates. Beans. So most foods are combinations of proteins and carbohydrates, and can be fats as well. So beans contain carbohydrates and also a lot of protein.
So they're a superfood.
Yeah. So there are lots of foods that contain a lot of proteins and carbohydrates as well. So lentils and beans and peas, for example.
Can you eat too many avocados in a day or in a week?
I would say that having any kind of food in excess isn't great for you, because you'd be having it at the expense of other foods. They are very good for you, so I wouldn't say set a limit on it, because they are very good for you.
You're supposed to only have like maybe 2 a week, or 2 to 4 a week or something. I could eat 1 a day.
Eating 1 a day wouldn't be bad for you.
Also, my other question was, what is gluten and why are people allergic to it? I mean, it's like peanuts. People are allergic to peanuts, they get that, but gluten isn't like a nut you can see and say, oh, I'm allergic to that. So what is gluten exactly? It's in starchy foods, or?
It's actually a protein which is found in grains such as wheat, barley, and rye. So when people have an allergy, it's usually to a protein, and gluten is a protein. Oh. And in people who have celiac disease, gluten can actually trigger an immune reaction, and so it can cause stomach pain, frequent diarrhea, tiredness, anemia. And some people have a gluten intolerance, which means that they find it difficult to digest. But for people who aren't celiac or don't have a gluten intolerance, then they're fine to eat it. And actually, speaking to organisations like Celiac UK, they don't actually advise that people take people who aren't celiac or gluten intolerant. They don't actually advise you to take gluten out of the diet, because lots of foods that contain gluten, because it's not always healthy to cut out whole food groups out of the diet, because grains are an important part of a balanced diet.
So how do you know if you have celiac disease?
So you might have some stomach pains, you might have some bloating, you might have some excess wind.
Excess wind. I love how the British say that. Excess wind.
Is there anything else that you wanted to ask?
I have one more thing to talk about.
Yeah.
I'll put this somewhere. So Dawn, I wanted to say that I noticed you're Asian.
Yes.
And that, are you Thai?
Yes, my family are originally from Thailand, so I was actually born in the UK, but both my parents are from Thailand.
That's so awesome, because I'm Thai, but I've moved here when I was younger.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for being my guest today, and I look forward to hopefully you coming back again.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much, Jodie.
Thank you.